This is the Page Publishing Book Club. Good evening. I'm your host, Alice Stockton Rossini. We have some great ideas tonight on how to get people interested in your book. Just about every author we're going to talk to has found a unique way to let people know, hey, I wrote a book. You got to read it. It's summer. What better time to read a book, right? So we're going to hear about that. And of course, every author we talk to has a story to tell about how they developed their book, what inspired them. First on the line, we have Joseph Green, and he wrote, well, you tell us, Joseph.
Where did all that love come from? It's really a love story. It's about a guy and his girlfriend and just the people that he meets during his life and his relationship with them. So really the book is really about building relationships.
Any particular reason why you decided to write a book on building relationships?
Well, building relationships just happened to be an outcome of it. But I was really writing a book about love because there's so much what's going on in the streets and with the kids and even grown-ups, you know, the killings, the shooting. And looking at what's going on out there in the world, it just seems to me like there's a lack of love. And that's basically why I wrote the book about love.
Is it a particular relationship that you had?
It's basically a fictional book, but it is built around some of the things that happened to me during my life. What I do is I love people. I love animals, and I hate what I see going on with people and mistreatment of animals and things like that. And to me, it just seems like, you know, God didn't make us for that. You know, He's a God of love, so He made us to love each other, you know, and not do some of the things that are going on out there in the world. So really I was writing a book so that people who like a good love story would read it, and maybe it would touch them and those who really aren't interested in a love story but just happen to want to read a book and happen to read this one because of someone else or a friend or whatever reason they read the book and realize that, you know, there's got to be something to this. You know, there's got to be something about love.
What did you do for a living?
I worked for IBM, and as a result, I travel a lot, teaching, meeting people, and just building relationships with the people that I've met. I don't think there's anybody in my life that I ever met that I really didn't like. I might have had some confrontation with them or something like that, but to really dislike them, I don't think I've ever met anyone that I really disliked.
Well, that's a wonderful thing. I don't think a lot of people can say that.
I just find that to be one of my blessings. I think I was just a gift of God, you know, that gives me that kind of a feeling, you know.
How did you wind up with Page?
I just looking for a publisher, and I happened to see Page on the TV, so I just happened to pick that.
How are you getting your book out there? How are you publicizing it?
Right now, I'm trying to get everyone that I meet. And what I did, I created a business card with the book, about the book, you know, with the title of the book and me as the author. And I'm passing that out to all the people that I meet, you know, just handing it out and just talking to different people 3 days a week. I'm in a gym where I do strength training, range of motion, and a Zumba class, you know, and all the people in there, the people in my church, and just people in general that I run into. You know, I'll just hand them a card, you know, like you hand a business card.
That's good. That's a good idea. Get it out there and go to everybody you know.
And that's basically what I've been trying to do. Just try to get everybody I can to read it. When I first wrote the book, I really didn't write the book to publish it. I just wrote it just to see if I could write a book, because I didn't think I had the discipline in me to write a book. But once I sat down and began to write, it just flowed. You know, it just went right through. But I was working at the time and traveling, so it took me a while to get it finished. But once I finished it, I said, I finished it. And then I was talking to a friend, and she was telling me she had written a book. And I said, well, so have I. And she says, well, give me a copy. I said, well, I haven't published it. She said, then you haven't finished it because I finished it until you publish it. So she sort of bugged me for a month or so. And I finally decided, well, I guess I'll publish it. Because I finished it in 2009, and it just been sitting on a shelf, And so I was satisfied writing. But once she got hold of me and dug her claws into me.
Sometimes, that's what people come into our lives for, to do just that, to inspire us in some way,
Well, and I think she did. Because I read her book, and I really enjoyed reading it. And I said, I hope people will enjoy reading mine as much as I enjoyed reading hers. So.
You know what? I like that, Joseph. You're not finished your book. You can't say you're finished until you're published. I also like the business card idea. That's one way to get people wondering. You go up to them, hand them a business card with the name of your book on it, where they can find it. Not bad, right? Next up, Karen Williams brings real life experience to her book entitled Truth's Companion. Hey, Karen, why don't you give us a little synopsis of your book?
It's about a group of gifted young people and their mentors, and they attend this World Youth United conference, and they each have assignments to do, and this group has an artifact that they need to identify, and they end up having to vow to protect it. And
it's a bunch of gifted students?
Yes, they're at this World Youth United conference, and they're in different areas of study, and with their professors and journalists, and they have a eccentric old fellow that has this mansion with his extensive libraries that have kind of mystical powers, and they go to try to explore what this artifact is and decide they need to really protect this from forces that might try to take advantage of it. And they have to return then to the conference and put their findings out there. And it's a pretty interesting little story.
Is it based on any of your experience?
I worked in the area of children's mental health and children's foster care for many years. And it was the children's ability to overcome tragedy and cope with things that kind of made them heroes in my mind. And then these stories were just going around in my mind for quite a while till it felt like they just had to come out, which they did. And I say it felt like they just fell out onto the paper in a rush when they finally did come out. So it was very enjoyable writing it also.
So you had some pretty amazing kids that you dealt with that were in some pretty awful circumstances.
Right, and I got pretty close with a few of them, yes.
Did any of them manage to make it out okay?
Yes, I have a couple of really good success stories.
And is this book kind of based on those success stories?
Well, no, they're not exactly based on those exact children, but the characters are combinations of different qualities of the different children that I did work with and some of their circumstances. There's some serious circumstances in the basis of these characters. Some of them have had to overcome some tragedies. So, I
don't know how you can work in that field and not become attached and not want to take every single one of those kids home.
You're exactly right. And after doing it for many, many years, and it's not the kind of job you can do part-time either. So I would probably still be doing it if it could be a part-time kind of thing. But I really felt like I needed to try to write. And so I had to kind of get out of that line of work and do something that was not life and death decisions. I'm feeding people now, and that's enjoyable. I still get to work with people. And then I have time to follow my dream of writing. So.
Yeah, and you said once you made the decision to write, it just all came out. So these kids are all heroes now in this book, and they do something amazing.
Right.
Nice. What a nice tribute to those kids that you worked with.
Why, thank you. I just enjoyed that it finally came out. I'm so glad it's finally in print. Well, part of it, because there are other stories. There was a question here about the prequel and sequels, so there are other things.
That you're working on?
Right. There's a prequel, which is a collection of poetic stories where the children in them are heroes, and these stories actually give more information about the characters in the novel, Truth's Companion. They all kind of mesh together. And then I'm working on a second novel currently in the series with the same characters.
Wow. So Truth's Companion, are these the people that show them the way?
They are, in Truth's Companion, they are the ones, the children and their professors, and there's a journalist, and like I say, the benefactor. They are on this quest together to find out about this artifact that has special properties and decide what they need to do about it once they do discover what it's about. The collection of poetic stories, which is like a prequel I actually wrote before I wrote the novel, are the same characters in the novel. It just gives more information about their background. I mean, the novel can stand on its own first, but I would like it's called the Seer Songbook, and in the novel it mentions the Seer Songbook. So people might be interested in knowing more about that because they'll recognize it from the novel.
Did you have a good experience with Paige?
Very good. Of course, you're a little apprehensive. You've never done anything like this before, and you don't know if you picked the right one, and it would just happen to be fluke that I heard about them and followed through with it, and I'm glad that I did, and they've been excellent. With the help of a good publisher, it's not difficult, but it was time-consuming. You know, you want to assure you're doing the best job you can do and to see your work finally come out as you had envisioned it, and I really think that they helped me a lot with that.
Yeah, so they didn't. Yeah, I hear a lot of people say that they've taken their stuff to other places and they want to change it and they want to mess with it a little bit. And with Paige, you pretty much can put your story out exactly the way you want it.
Right, and they let me keep tweaking it until I got it just the way it needed to be, and they helped me with their suggestions and with their side of the work, and it was great.
You know what? It's amazing to me, the publishers that want to change your book. I mean, it's your book. Guidance is one thing. You certainly get plenty of that from Paige, but a lot of authors say the same thing. They're really grateful to have so much say in the way their book is published here at Paige Publishing. All right, next up, Melvin Williams is playing with words, right, Melvin?
Well, the book is about using wordplay and just taking a simple word, 2 or more syllables, and just changing the word and using a different sentence and just having fun with words. A little punning involved.
A little punning?
Just using a word and saying, okay, just here recently, the word caramel came about. My wife's name is Jill, and Jill will have to take care of Mel when he gets older. So that's kind of what the book is about, just using words and just stretching them out and just having fun with them. My job involves traveling, and a lot of times I'll see like a sign or something, a bulletin or something, or just something like just catches my eye and go, oh, let me use this one, or, just mess with it. I kind of use some words and come up with 2 or 3 different sentences and try to fine-tune it and share it with people here at work or at home. And sometimes I get that was a good one, and sometimes I get, I need to work on that a little bit. But with the words in the book, I pretty much fine-tuned the best I could, and getting pretty good reviews on it. Some people think, it's too short, need some more. But I'm like, well, I kind of tired of Play on Words Volume 1 to just get out there to see, what type of reception I get from it. And then, because I do have enough to get another book, hopefully out in the next year or so.
Okay, give me another one.
Okay, the word edify. I would have called Ed if I knew you needed a mechanic for this type of job. Just using something simple, 2 or 3 something, and then just pulling it out and then just throwing it out in a different light.
So this was as a result of you being on the road a lot and trying to keep your mind active?
Yes, and my wife, she's like, you just always thinking about silly stuff. I said, it's just my makeup, I don't know.
Is it to educate kids, or is it
just a fun book to read? There's a few riddles in there, and then there's, like I said, wordplay, and it's full with illustrations that kind of, illustrations that either are a lead-in for, the wordplay or riddle. It's only 30 pages long, but it's full of impact with a whole bunch of, just fun words, and I think all ages could probably get a good laugh out of it.
Okay, sounds good. What made you publish it now?
3 years ago, I'm thinking maybe a little over 3 years ago, I was in Pittsburgh, we were visiting our oldest daughter. My daughter then was playing some type of card game, and I was just sitting there just kind of thinking of silly stuff, and they had this candy, Mentos, that they were eating, and this light bulb came on, like, Mentos. I said, okay, let me use that in a sentence. I said, most people would agree that Mentos are disgusting and ugly. Mentos, oh, yeah. So it kind of went from there 3 years ago to just developing different words and riddles along the year. And then last summer, actually, the idea come about to actually do a book on it. And then I just kind of started last spring of 2013. And then last summer, I kind of shopped the idea around and was able to get it going.
All right, Melvin, way to go. And you know what? The music tells me it's time to take a break. We will be right back with a guy who writes detective stories, and he is a one-man PR machine. Do not go anywhere. This is the Page Publishing Book Club.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple, iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-204-6099 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-204-6099 for your free author submission kit.
Welcome back to the Page Publishing Book Club. I'm your host, Alice Stockton Rossini. Jody Vallone has been around the publishing world, and when she finally got around to writing, she became a machine and was very picky about who was going to publish her stories. Welcome, Jody. For starters, tell us about Paradise Valley, Lost and Found.
It's a suspense-filled romance. It came to me, I probably wrote it within 3 months. I wrote it quickly. It was a quick write for me. Yeah.
A lot of people say that.
That's what happened. Actually, what happened was I've always been a writer. I love to write. And what had happened was I've raised 3 kids. So I kind of put that aside while it had been, 10, 12 years. And I pulled out a bin, and it had manuscripts in there. And I started reading the one, and I said, oh my gosh, this is so good. I need to start writing again. I really have a gift. So boom, this one came out. I wrote it in 3 months, and it took about a year before it was finally published. But and then I have 2 more that I'm working on. So hopefully those will be, finalized this summer. So yeah.
I'm always curious what inspires a writer to write a particular story.
Well, this is basically made up with the main character. She is very tough, and I think that she's based on me. Like, I'm a very tough person. A lot of things have happened to me in the past, but I've been able to persevere through them, and she does the same thing through this whole story. So I think she's based on me, but the story is basically made up. Yeah. And what I do, usually for me, it's easier for me, and I know this sounds crazy, but it's easier for me to work on a couple of manuscripts at one time. So while I'm working, if I get writer's block on one, something might come to me for the other one, so I'll flip-flop back and forth. So that's how I work. It's easier for me that way.
That's amazing. Do you take notes? Do things come to you when you least expect it?
Yes. I'll dream. I dream a lot, so I'll wake up in the middle of the night. A lot of times I'll wake up at 3 in the morning, and I have some things on my mind, so I'll have to write them down. Yes. They come to me at odd hours.
Well, what do you have? A tape recorder by your bed? What do you have?
No, I have a workstation right in my room. So my computer and my notebook are right here. So I'll just get up and write everything down.
You just decided, since you've been a writer for all your life, now your kids are grown, you have time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my first manuscript actually is a young It's a middle grade book, and I'm still working on that. And I want to get that out. And I have read some of that to my younger daughter, who is 8, and she loves it because it's got, mermaids in there, and it's a fantasy based book. So I definitely want to get that out as well, because I think the kids would like that. So, yeah.
Did you try to find other publishers?
I started looking for agents and whatnot, and I did a lot of research, and people were saying, once you're agent in, you have to really stay with that agent, or, you kind of get blacklisted if you decide, I don't want an agent anymore. So I feel, because I have a marketing background, I feel that I'm more comfortable marketing my own book.
Getting someone to look at your stuff is a full-time job.
It is true. Every agent has a certain guideline for submissions. So you have to change it every time you submit it. For about 3 months, I submitted my work. And, I got some good feedback from the agents. But I thought, why? I can do this myself. I am so glad I did. I've gotten a lot of good feedback, positive feedback. And I'm glad I went this route.
Good, Jody. So's Page Publishing. It sounds like you're going to have a book out a month the way you're going. All right. Last but not least, Christopher Ford joins us. He wrote Kenneth Banner, Detective. Hello, Christopher. So what do you know about detective stories?
Well, what I know about private detectives is I was in the military police in their CID division, which is Criminal Investigation Division. And I carried that out into private practice after I got out of the military, and became private security for one of the major agencies here, which I won't mention, and had a number of adventures in that direction. And I know a great many of the police officers here. I'm conversant with most of the procedures involved. And in my position, you also get to know a lot of attorneys. So, yeah, I have some knowledge of the background of where I write.
Is this one book, or is it a series of books?
Initially, it's just a one book. It's a trilogy. There are 3 stories in that book. And I have others that I could publish, but I'm waiting to see how this one does, because if you know anything about the detective series, this is a very narrow genre. I'm not even completely sure if that many people are writing in this field anymore. So I'm simply going to wait and see. I'm doing book signing at Borders. I want to see how that goes. I have a private book signing at a local bookstore here. I want to see how that goes. And then, of course, I want to see how this interview goes.
Well, you got to give me some more. What kind of a detective is he? Is he young? Is he dashing? Is he?
Okay.
Is he James Bond, or is he Columbo?
Certainly not James Bond, and he's not Columbo. He's in between. Like I say, a very narrow genre here. If you might think of Humphrey Bogart in The Big Sleep, along with Lauren Bacall, if you've ever seen that. Okay, or John Garfield in any of his movies where he played private detective. Let me read you this from the back cover of the published book, because I think it encapsulates it very, very well. It says, quote, "My name is Banner, Kent Banner," unquote. This set of 3 stories begins. I'm a private detective. My DeSoto was paid for and looks it. I have a couple of grand in the bank, a .38 on my hip, and every cheap hood, crooked cop, and shyster lawyer in L.A. on my back most of the time. All of the elements of great detective stories are here. Perpetually gray weather, a just-divorced detective who attracts women and bad guys in equal measure, mysterious notes, stray guns, and informants named Pencil and Big Sally. Join Kenneth Banner in post-war Los Angeles, where everyone from rich socialites to the wife of a nuclear scientist need his help. You can't help but love Banner. He's straight out of the best detective stories you've read. Insightful, humble, quick-witted with a dry sense of humor, a man who loves his scotch as much as he loves seeing justice done.
Who wrote that?
Someone from Page Publishing. I didn't. I made suggestions as to part of it. Part of that came from the intro for one of my stories, but the rest was interpreted by somebody at Page Publishing.
That is fabulous. Now, that's something I'd want to read.
Yeah, I mean, it really, I had written a book and I read that, I'd want to read it too, yes.
That's right. Well, now, you've been writing this for some time, right?
I've been writing this genre for about 40 years. I've had a few short stories published. I was encouraged by friends who read my work and said, you really ought to do something with this stuff. Some of this is very, very good. Well, the old tired saw that a writer who listens to his friends is going to lose friends or stop writing, one of the two. But these are friends I've known for 40 years. They assured me that some of this stuff was good. And I actually sent some things to them. I said, which of these three do you think? And then they delineated two, and another friend delineated two, and so I ended up with three. And fortunately for me and you, Page Publishing was astute enough, Lee, I believe it's Lee Fisher, was astute enough to offer me this when I sent one story in that their board of directors approved for publication. And it was a short story still. And he came back and he said, well, you can piggyback some other stories if you've got them on top of this one. So that would make the book longer, naturally. And I wasn't aware of that option. It wasn't in the contract that I read. So he told me that, and I sent two more stories, and that's why it's a trilogy instead of one story. So I think that was very nice of Page Publishing. And by the way, I'm very pleased with all the help they offered. Going from author to published author is a very frightful experience, full of pitfalls all over the place that a writer would know nothing about till he stumbled into one of them by accident.
It's so true. People have no idea until you actually start the process how tedious it can be.
Yes.
Is that a good word, tedious?
I think it is. Yes, I've used it myself before. You have permission to reuse it. That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Christopher.
But the writing, I always consider to be the easy part. I would sit down and knock off a short story and maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I re-edit it and correct things. And I looked and said, well, that's pretty good. I thought that was easy. Well, I was right. That is the easy part. The hard part is turning what you got into something that you can sell on the street. There's the hard part. That took a team of, Page Publishing. I'm sure there were probably half a dozen people involved. But the central character is Kenneth Banner, and he's recently divorced. He lives alone in a spacious but peculiar old house that is sitting on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean, and could at any moment be in the Pacific Ocean. It's that close. Has a cranky old cat that is named the General, and the cat rules the house, basically, which is one of the reasons for the divorce. And his ex-wife was always telling him things like, why don't we get out of this old house, and my brother-in-law works in insurance, and he can get us a beautiful new house in Belmont, and he'll even get you a car to drive. What do you think? He just looks at her, sipping his scotch, and he goes, I don't like Belmont.
This guy sounds great. I can't wait to meet him. I can't wait. Great summer read.
He's very terse. He's sarcastic. There's no doubt about it. In fact, in one of the stories, someone accuses him of being sarcastic. He goes, sarcastic? No. I haven't been sarcastic since 1938, I think it was.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you had a great experience with Page, and I'm glad you're doing the book signings too. That's a great thing to do.
Absolutely true. Yeah, and I've contacted my newspaper, and their book editor has said that when you do your signing, let us know, and we'll advertise it for free and send someone down there to cover it. So I said, okay, that'll work too.
That's great. It's something else people don't think to do. Call their local radio station, call your local newspaper. They like that.
No, I'm staying busy. Don't worry about me.
What? I'm not. I was worried at first, but I'm not anymore, Christopher. I'm really.
Well, that's very good hearing.
I feel good.
Have you ever been in radio broadcasting?
Me, no. I'm not big on radio. No.
Well, I'll tell you, with your Well, your typical New Yorker with a quick return there. You and I could do a comedy show.
We could. Okay. After this book thing gets out of the way and, I get these interviews done, maybe that's what we should do. I'll give you a call. We'll work something up, all right?
Well, it sounds real good to me, as long as I'm the straight man.
Okay. Oh, geez, Christopher, look, we are out of time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks to the authors who are with me every week. Come back next week, same time, same place, for another edition of the Page Publishing Book Club, right here on 710 WOR. I'm your host, Alice Stockton Rossini.